Friday. Thank you for joining me tonight. For those who don't know me, my name is SAHIRA ANAISA Al FENICE, and this is my show, A Little Hint of Magic, airing every first and third Fridays of the month on the Magical Witchy World channel. Please tune in. So, tonight we're going to slip into a practice that is both ancient and deeply personal: ancestor veneration. The art of spending intentional time with those who came before us. This is not about worship in the way that many people think. This is about relationship, connection, remembrance. It's about honoring the lives, the sacrifices, the wisdom, and even the unfinished stories that live within us. Whether we acknowledge them or not, our ancestors are already with us. Today, I want to show you how to spend time with them in a way that feels accessible, grounded, and real. So we'll discuss what is ancestor veneration, why spend time with our ancestors, creating space, and what spending time actually looks like. Healing through connection, and we're going to be doing a closing practice so that you're familiar with some of the practices of ancestor veneration. So I'll try to answer relevant questions at the end of the session if there's enough time. I invite everyone to DM me any topic requests or questions at my handle at A Little Hint of Magic on IG. And again, remember, that's A Little Hint of Magic, magic with a CK at the end. Don't forget. So let's get to it. What is ancestor veneration? Ancestor veneration is a practice of honoring and maintaining a relationship with your lineage. Across cultures, African diasporic traditions, indigenous practices, Asian traditions, European folkways, this connection has always been understood as essential. Your ancestors are not just people who existed before you. They're your bloodline, your energetic foundation, your spiritual inheritance. They are the reason why you're here. And when we engage in veneration, we're saying, I remember you. I honor you. I make space for you in my life. This is not about perfection. And it's not about needing to know your entire lineage. So don't worry about going on like 23andMe if it still exists, because I know they had some issues with their business before, or Ancestry or whatever. It's not about learning, okay, who's in my lineage. You don't need to know the names. You don't need to know who your great, 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 great grandparents were. What you need is to have intention for a relationship. So, why spend time with our ancestors? When you begin to spend time with your ancestors, something shifts. You start to feel supported in ways that are subtle yet powerful. You feel that energetic shift. Ancestor work can bring a sense of grounding and belonging, emotional healing across generations, clarity during times of uncertainty, protection and spiritual reinforcement, a deeper understanding of ourselves. This is because your ancestors carry memory, not just personal memory, but ancestral memory. And when you sit with them, you begin to access that wisdom. Even those ancestors who struggled, who made mistakes, who experienced hardship, there is still medicine in their stories. There's still things that we can learn from to help us to build a better life. And part of this work is allowing healing to move both ways. So, how do we create space? Spending time with our ancestors begins with creating space. This doesn't have to be elaborate. You can start with something simple: a small table or shelf, a candle, a glass of water, photos if you have them, objects that remind you of your lineage. So, for example, my family's from Puerto Rico. So what comes to mind automatically is, I have a little figurine of a coqui, which is like a tree frog, right? And they make this beautiful sound. It's a song of Puerto Rico. And so when I think of my ancestors, when I think of my lineage in Puerto Rico, I think of that coqui. So any object that reminds you of your lineage, you can place on the shelf or on this book on this table as well. This becomes your ancestor space. It becomes your altar. Water is especially important because it's a conductor, it's a bridge. When you place that glass of water, you're creating a point of connection. Light your candle with intention. And as you do, you can say, I welcome my ancestors who walk with love, guidance, and protection. Be clear. We're not calling in just anything. We're calling in ancestors that are well, those who are aligned, healed, and here for your highest good. So, for example, if there's an ancestor that you know of that, did some things that were, below your moral compass, right? I'm trying to be as politically correct as possible. Some ancestors, they weren't the best people. Those may not be the ancestors you want to call on. So again, just make sure that you call on those ancestors that are going to serve your highest good. So, what does spending time actually look like? This is where people often feel unsure. They often ask, what do I actually do? I'll tell you, spending time with your ancestors can look like sitting in stillness, just being present, breathing, allowing yourself to feel, or speaking to them out loud or in your mind. They hear you. Share your thoughts, your questions, your gratitude. And, we can't move, beyond ancestor veneration without talking about offerings, right? Some special offerings we could give them are water, coffee or tea, food, flowers, incense. Offer what feels meaningful and culturally appropriate to you. Listening is also important. Ancestor communication is rarely loud. It comes through subtle thoughts, emotions, memories, sensations in the body. So, this is asking you to pay attention. Pay attention to every little thing that you feel or experience because it can be your ancestors reaching out and communicating with you. Sometimes it's even a feeling of calm or sudden clarity. Those moments of eureka, those eureka moments. I think I made up a word where you say, "Oh, yeah, I remember that." Sometimes that's your ancestors feeding you information. Think about it that way. Also, remember to be consistent. Consistency is more important than intensity. You don't need a long ritual every time. Even 5 to 10 minutes of intentional presence is useful because this is about building a relationship. Healing through connection. One of the most profound aspects of ancestor work is healing. When you show up with love, with respect, with acknowledgement, you begin to repair what may have been forgotten or disconnected. You may find yourself releasing patterns, understanding family dynamics in a new way, feeling compassion where there was once confusion or pain. So, if you have a troubling relationship with one of your parents, for example, and they pass on and that situation isn't resolved, understanding or finding out, researching what they've gone through, the experiences that they've had. For example, my dad, um, he was older when I was born. I found out, while he was living, of course, that he lived through the Depression. And the Depression was experienced 1,000 times worse in Puerto Rico, right? And then I understood why he had certain habits, certain ways of being that I didn't agree to or I didn't find were good ways of being, right? So, if anything, it made me feel bad about the fact that I judged my dad, right? Because I shouldn't have judged him in the first place. I should have tried to understand him. So I recommend that you guys try to do this before your ancestors become your ancestors if you can, like the living family members that you have. Try to understand their stories because in understanding their stories, you understand the person. And it doesn't mean you're going to have a perfect relationship, but it may be a better relationship than what you're experiencing in the present. So, this process, again, what are we talking about? You're not only healing yourself, you're healing your lineage. So, we're going to close with a practice. It's a simple practice that you can return to, just something simple. Again, we don't want to make anything elaborate when we're venerating our ancestors. We want it to be easy and organic. So, take a breath. And if you can, place your feet on the ground so that you're firmly grounded, right? And gently say, I honor the ancestors who walk with me, those known and unknown, those who came before me in love and resilience. I thank you for your guidance, for your protection, and for your presence. May our connection continue to grow in clarity, respect, and alignment. And then sit with that for a moment. Feel into it. You don't need to have everything figured out in the beginning. Start where you're at and with what you have. And most of all, with sincerity. Your ancestors will meet you there. So, this was a short one, guys. As we come to the close of our time together this month, I invite you to stay connected. Please feel free to reach out with questions, share insights, or suggest future topics. Your voice is an essential part of this space, and I truly value hearing from you. You can connect with me on Instagram, again, at A Little Hint of Magic. And what did I say before? That's magic with a CK at the end. Don't forget. Thank you for sharing this time with me. I look forward to gathering again on July 3rd at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Magical Witchy World channel. Please tune in. Wishing you a beautiful weekend and blessed be.